Hello again everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you guys how to recreate this simple little fox watercolor painting. In this painting I used all watercolors except for the white spots you see on here, the sparkles. I used this white calligraphy ink, so I'll show you how to use that as well. All the supplies you need are going to be listed in the description, so I hope you enjoy this and find it helpful. Let's get started.
Alright, so I've got my fox sketch that I drew. And I'm starting with burnt sienna, of course. Nice reddish brown. Just filling in around the body. This painting did take me a little bit longer than some of my other paintings that I've made for you here on this channel, so it is sped up a little bit more, this one, just to just to make this video, you know, not too super long. But like I said, I probably spent about an hour and a half on this one altogether. So I'm taking the burnt sienna with just a tiniest little bit of the cadmium yellow, just to make it a little bit of a lighter hue, where some of the fur is a little bit lighter, like barely any. Okay, mixing a little bit of the burnt sienna with Ivory Black. Create a little bit of a darker shade here for his legs and his shadow that's cast on his tail and his lower half of his body. A little bit darker, more black for these legs here. And I'm using wet paint on dry paper for this painting. Just a little darker around the eyes. the reference photo that I'm using, this is a very fluffy fox. Okay, just a little bit, like very, very, very little of the ivory black, really watered down to start working on the chest fur. And while that dries, I'm moving in now to the background, and here I am wetting the paper just to see what we can do with this background color. I really wanted to paint a pink background against this orange fox. It's always a pretty color combination, I think. So this is a permanent rose hue from this palette that I'm using, which everything will be listed in the description, all the colors, the palette. I really like this little palette, personally. You can pretty much make any color you need with it. And it's just a little size. Perfect for painting anywhere. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, I keep forgetting to mention this in my videos that I'm using here, is my back, or the actual surface that I'm using. It is a wooden desk, but I have a like acrylic sheet, clear acrylic sheet underneath. So it gives me a pretty paint surface, but I don't have to worry about staining my desk. So, in case you were wondering what it is I'm painting on, that's what it is. It's just a clear acrylic, sheet, which I get at, I think any craft supply store would have these in the, I think it's Cricut or Cricut, I'm not actually sure, but the Cricut or the Cricut section has these things. They're not too expensive, I don't think, but it makes a really nice, surface for working. And meanwhile, my set looks, nice and clean. So just using a little Payne's gray here to create a little bit of a rocky sort of surface for him to sit on. This reference photo that I'm using, he's sitting on like a pile of rocks. So I just kind of created that very, very loosely with these watercolors. And I'm just going to tracing around this fox with this permanent rose color. Just playing with this background, trying to make it and the fox pop a little bit. Now you'll see that I drew my moon here. If I had one thing I could do differently with this painting is my pencil marks are a little dark, and I'm not fully satisfied with that, but I think that I disguised them pretty well by the time I get to the end of this. But the moon, I wish I had sketched that a little bit lighter, or maybe used the adhesive and just done it that way. But I wanted to try using this calligraphy ink to paint the moon, so I didn't think that the pencil would be such a big deal since I'm going to be painting over it. In the end, I think it turns out okay, but I think I made it harder than I needed to. So yeah, just spreading out this really pretty rose pink color, creating kind of just the first sort of, little bit of the background there. playing with the water and just letting it do its thing. That's something I really enjoy about watercolors is, you know, I've mentioned this in other videos, but I've mainly painted in acrylics for, you know, my entire time of calling myself an artist. I've painted a lot in acrylics um and I love acrylics. I probably will do some more paintings here in acrylic, but I got into watercolors, and one thing that, or I guess what's making me really love painting in watercolors, is the flowiness, it just, I love that, like, you kind of just have to let them flow in some places. I love seeing what happens, you know? Um, okay, I have added a little color here. So right now I'm adding a little bit of the Cadmium Yellow Hue, just a little bit to the side here. Beneath that, I used the Cadmium Red and a little bit of the Alzarin Crimson towards the bottom. And I'm just throwing in a little bit of that yellow here and there, just to kind of brighten it up, add a little bit of a glow, I guess. I just thought it was pretty once I started adding it. Yeah, watercolors are really fun. It's very loose. I mean, you can obviously get very, particular with it, but it's also, there's a looseness to it that really appeals to me as an artist. That's how I've always painted, I think, is just very flowy kind of stuff. So a little mix of the burnt sienna and the ivory black to create the around the eyes, the line around the eyes, and then just pure black to the nose. Starting to come together there. And I've just lightened up a little bit of that black, and I'm making a little bit of wispy bits of his chest for here. I'm using a very tiny brush, by the way. I love it. It's very helpful. I also notice I have not taken the price tag off of that. I have a really bad habit of that when it comes to like my supplies sometimes. Just working the colors around his face. Now going in around his ears, a little bit of that black. Just creating a little more depth around his eyes here and his nose. I'm kind of bouncing around pretty quickly, but yeah, it's just I'm between black and black mixed with the burnt sienna. So painting in his eyes now. I didn't leave any white space for like highlights in his eyes just because this is a really small painting, 5x7, and so I'm gonna come back and add that later with the white calligraphy ink. Just adding a little bit of shadow and definition to him here. Another thing I really love about using watercolors is there's you know it's just a little bit at a time. It's just a little bit at a time. I don't know. I think that really suits my style and my way of working in anyways. And so it's just been a really fun journey, um, learning watercolors. And I went a little overboard here. So this is just a very damp paper towel, and I'm just using my finger to blot up some of the paint a little bit. Just creating more shadow, more definition. Deepening the colors a little bit here. Just using some of the black to create that transition from the white fur to the black fur of his legs. And foxes are very special to me. I will probably paint several foxes on this channel at some point in time. I paint them fairly frequently. my maiden name is Fox. I was actually born Stephanie Fox. And so it's just an animal that's just special to me. It's kind of, you know, it's just my little spirit animal guide is a fox. They're symbols. What I like about the fox is they're not necessarily good luck symbols. Foxes are symbols of magic, um, of cleverness and adaptability and creativity. And foxes, this, when you see a fox, it's a symbol to, it helps you make the most of what you have, you know. Not everyone has a ton of advantages in life, but if we're clever, if we're creative, we can do a lot of stuff. And so that's what the fox is kind of symbolizes to me. So I paint a lot of foxes. They're just very special to me. So just adding more around his face a little bit. Now I'm going to come in and do a little more detail on this gravel or this rocky little surface he's sitting on here. Foxes are said to be shapeshifters, and I kind of like that. I like that term, shapeshifter. You know, and also they are said to be able to travel between the spirit realms and this world, delivering messages from the spirit side. So I'm adding a little of this burnt umber, actually, a little bit down here, just to create a little bit of, I don't know, depth to this color a little bit. I wasn't really liking how this was coming together on this bottom part, so I added a little bit of the burnt umber. I like how it came up a little bit better. Okay, so back into this permanent rose color, I'm going to do a little bit more with the background. So I was working really fast. That is probably one of my, I don't know, I don't want to say flaws, but it's something I do, is I work too fast. I like to work fast and be quick, and instead of letting the paint dry earlier, I just kept going. So now I'm coming back in to kind of to fill in around the pencil lines and get a little closer to the actual fox with this background color here. And I'm going to do some things with it. I wanted to make sure I got all the way around the fox. Just playing with and just also deepening these colors here that I've used for this background. So that permanent rose, a little bit of the Cadmium Red hue, and a little bit of the Alzarin Crimson hue towards the bottom. I really like how this turned out, this background. It ended up a really pretty color combo. And a little bit of the Cadmium Yellow Hue. Just trying to brighten it just a little bit. It was a little light, in my opinion. But this is just me deepening these hues a little bit. my glasses. I am 45 now, and I all of a sudden can't see anything. And so I wear reading glasses, it's true. And I actually love them. Okay, it's a whole other world. I didn't realize that all I needed to do was buy a pair of reading glasses and I could just see everything again. It's pretty amazing. Highly recommend getting reading glasses if you're in your mid-40s. You thinking your sight is going, that this is it? No, you just need reading glasses. I'm just coming in and deepening his color a little bit. Just continuing to do that until I feel like it's right. All right, we're getting out this calligraphy ink. This is white calligraphy ink. It's also by Winsor and Newton. And I'm just going to use this to add some highlights, add a little bit of whiteness to his fluffy tail here. A little bit of chest hair here. Chest hair. Chest fur. It's fur. So just bringing out those spots a little bit. And then I'm going to paint this moon a little bit. And like I said, I do wish I had maybe used a lighter pencil or gone about this moon a little differently. I'm still happy with the outcome, but it did take several coats to cover up the pencil. So I wish that I had just used a lighter pencil or created this moon a different way. But I still think it turned out pretty cute. I'm letting that dry, adding a little bit of light to the eye, a little bit of sparkle. A little bit of light on his nose. Just going over that a few times. Sometimes this white ink doesn't quite cover it in one coat, so I'm going back over again with a tinier brush, creating a little bit more detail on him. Another thing I really love painting in general is animals. You'll see me paint a lot of animals here on this page or on this channel because I don't know. I just really love painting animals. I love animals, period. So that's a thing. So if you like painting animals, stick with me. Adding a little bit more fluff to his ears. And I wanted to add a little bit to his chest and his little legs here. They had a little bit of white on the reference photo. And now I'm actually mixing a little bit of the burnt sienna with this white ink. Now I realize this is maybe not, traditional watercolor technique. Like I said, I'm self-taught. I come from painting acrylics, so I'm used to, that's just how I know how to paint, is from painting dark to light. And so that part of watercolor is tricky for me. So I'm I'm using this white to add light. And there's a little bit, he's kind of backlit, not much, but I am adding just a little bit of light around the edge because the light was coming from behind him. Just barely. So all the way around here. Now just more burnt sienna, just deepening his color more. More shadow with the black. So a lot of times when you watch me paint, you'll see me doing things that I would do with acrylic paints. But, you know, I'm just not the person that thinks it matters. I think as long as you make what you like, you know, using perfect technique or whatever, that's just never been me. I just like to make things and tend to just create my own style. And I think that's what every artist eventually does and should do, you know. There's no rules really with art. There shouldn't be rules. I mean, maybe there should be some rules. Okay, maybe there's like, you know, some things, but I think that as long as you like what you make, that's really what matters in the end. And I do. I ended up really liking this one. I'm just, again, adding a little bit more around his eyes. There's something about his eyes that was just not sitting right with me. So I go in and make draw a little more depth around his eyes. Using a mix of black and burnt sienna, or yeah, burnt sienna. No, sorry, raw sienna. No, what the heck? What color is this? Burnt sienna. Sorry. Yes, burnt sienna. A little bit of a brain melt there. Sorry, it happens. So adding details around his ears, just kind of polishing things up here, you know. One thing I've mentioned, and I'll probably mention again in almost every video at least, is I tend to stand up and take a look at what I'm doing through my camera lens. That helps me to see it from a different perspective, and I think that's a really good tool to use. Your phone, if you use your phone, is just turning on your camera and looking at it through your camera lens. It will help you to see it in a different way. And it always helps me just to find perspective, look at where I need to add shadow or light, that kind of thing. So I find it be very useful. So just adding a little bit more definition to this little guy. Did a little much there. Pretty sure I cleaned that up. Yeah. Okay. Just kind of adding a little bit more around his chest, just little bits here and there. This painting is basically done, but I wanted to add a little bit more. I'm working with the white ink again. Just better transition, I think, is what I'm doing here between the gray and the black and the white of his chest, just blending those better. More definition around his little nose there. And now I'm just adding another layer to this moon. Making sure my pencil lines are covered up. And I decided to try and make a little bit of sparkles and stars and things around him. I think I like how this came out. This is something I have always done in my acrylic paintings, is I add a lot of sparkles and stars, and that's kind of always been my style. So I decided to try that here. I think it turned out pretty cute. So I hope you guys have found this tutorial helpful. This is basically the end here. I just wanted to let you know that you can connect with me on my social accounts, Facebook, Twitter, or not. What am I even saying at this point? Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Stephanie Weiss Art. The links are in the description. And I do have a website where my things are for sale. I also have an astrology channel where I talk about astrology if that interests you as well. You can find me at Twin Fox Astrology. And yeah, I'm really excited to put more energy back into my creative passions. That's been a goal of mine, and it's kind of my mission this year. So there you have it. I hope you have enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. I appreciate it so much. It helps my channel to grow. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.